The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of 3 suns. Inside, Ambassador James Walker stood at the podium, his weathered face showing no emotion as insults flew across the chamber. 20 years of diplomatic service had taught him patience, but today tested even his limits. The humans persist with their outdated methods, sneered Council leader Marcus, his blue-scaled skin reflecting the chamber's light. They still rely on emotional decision-making, while we have evolved beyond such primitive restraints. Walker watched the other council members nod in agreement. The chamber held representatives from 30 advanced civilizations, each believing themselves superior to humanity in every way. Their architecture, their technology, their very presence screamed of advancement far beyond Earth's capabilities, or so they thought. Our proposal to improve the galactic medical network requires logic, not human intuition, Marcus continued, his tail swishing with barely contained disdain. We have analyzed the data through our quantum computers. The solution is clear. Walker cleared his throat. The data suggests otherwise, he said, his voice calm and measured. Our simulations show your proposed changes would reduce coverage to outer colony worlds by 30%. Laughter echoed through the chamber. A representative from the Silicon worlds, a purely mechanical being, flickered its lights in what passed for amusement. Human simulations. Using what? Your primitive binary computers. Walker tapped his datapad, projecting a complex series of calculations into the air. These are the numbers. Your proposed system will fail within 5 years. We've seen similar patterns before. Enough. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. We did not come here to listen to primitive warnings. The Council will vote now on Implementation Protocol 7B, excluding Earth's proposed amendments. Walker watched as the votes came in. One by one, the holographic displays turned red, rejecting humanity's input. He had expected this, but the finality still stung. This wasn't the first time the Council had dismissed human advice, but it was perhaps the most crucial. The medical network connected thousands of worlds, coordinating emergency responses and managing pandemic controls. Humanity had helped build it, quietly fixing problems and adding redundancies that the other species deemed unnecessary. Now they planned to streamline it, removing what they saw as inefficient human elements. The vote is final, Marcus announced, satisfaction dripping from every word. Earth's proposals are rejected. The new system will be implemented immediately. Walker packed his datapad slowly, deliberately. Around him, Council members were already discussing their next agenda items, dismissing the human representative as unimportant. None of them noticed when he pulled out a small communicator. Old technology by their standards, another thing they mocked. Walker to Earth Command, he spoke softly into the device. Implementation is a go. Code Omega-7. The response came back instantly. Confirmed. Ambassador, the call has been made. Protocol walking the way is now in effect. Walker allowed himself a small smile as he walked out of the chamber. None of the Council members bothered to acknowledge his departure. They didn't notice his smile wasn't one of submission, but of knowing what was to come. In his quarters later that night, Walker drafted his final report to Earth. The stars outside his window seemed to twinkle with anticipation of what was to come. Humanity had spent centuries being underestimated, playing the role of the helpful but primitive species. They had integrated themselves into every aspect of galactic civilization, while appearing to be nothing more than simple-minded assistants. Now it was time to show the galaxy what happened when humanity walked away. The Council thought they had won today. They thought they had finally put the primitive humans in their place. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The human withdrawal began quietly, like a tide pulling back from the shore before a tsunami. On 100 worlds across the galaxy, human workers finished their shifts, packed their belongings, and boarded transport ships without fanfare. They left no notes, made no announcements, and offered no explanations. Trademaster Robert watched the coordination from his office on Earth's lunar base. Holographic displays showed thousands of green dots moving across star maps, each one a human ship heading home. 20 years of planning were finally in motion. Status report. He spoke into the command interface. Phase 1 is at 60% completion. The AI responded. No significant resistance encountered. Alien authorities appear unaware of the pattern. Robert nodded, taking the sip from his coffee. The aliens' own arrogance made this easier. They paid so little attention to human movements that they didn't notice when entire colonies began emptying. On the resort world of Paradise 7, the alien tourists only realized something was wrong when they found their favorite restaurants close. The human chefs, whom they had praised while simultaneously mocking Earth cuisine as primitive, had disappeared overnight. In the Silicon world's massive computer cores, automated messages replaced human maintenance crews. The mechanical beings who had laughed at primitive human binary systems found their quantum processors running at reduced efficiency, missing the subtle adjustments humans had always provided. "Sir," the AI interrupted Robert's thoughts. Incoming transmission from Ambassador Walker. Walker's hologram appeared, looking tired but satisfied. The council finally noticed something was wrong, he reported. Their automated systems are reporting irregularities in human sectors. Robert allowed himself a small smile. How long did it take them? 3 days to notice we were gone. Another 2 to realize it might be important. Walker's image flickered. I'm preparing for the final address. The council chamber was fuller than usual when Walker took the podium for the last time. The usual arrogant expressions were replaced by confusion and the first hints of concern. What is the meaning of this? Council leader Marcus demanded, his scales a darker blue than usual. Why are human installations going dark across the galaxy? Walker placed a single document on the podium. I am here to formally submit Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. Humanity is returning home. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. A representative from the energy world stood up, his plasma form flickering with agitation. You can't do this. What about our trade agreements? Our joint projects? All agreements are hereby terminated, Walker replied calmly. As you have frequently reminded us, humanity is primitive and unnecessary to galactic civilization. We would hate to hold back your progress with our emotional decision-making. This is absurd. Marcus slammed his fist down. You have obligations. Walker's voice remained steady. All human obligations have been fulfilled. We have trained your replacement workers, documented our processes, and provided transition plans. Though, given your advanced status, I'm sure you'll improve upon our primitive methods. Back on Luna Base, Robert watched the council feed with satisfaction. Phase 2 completion at 80%, the AI reported. Final human transports are leaving alien space. Remaining automated systems are shutting down as planned. Across the galaxy, the ripples were becoming waves. Shipping companies discovered their best navigators had vanished. Research stations found projects stalled without human intuition to guide them. Entertainment venues realized their most popular attractions had always been human performers. Let them see what primitive really means, Robert murmured, watching the last green dots move toward Earth space. They wanted a galaxy without humanity. They're about to get exactly what they asked for. In the council chamber, Walker turned to leave for the final time. Behind him, the first arguments had already broken out as representatives began realizing the implications of humanity's departure. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. The real chaos hadn't even begun. 2 weeks after humanity's departure, the first major system failed. The Silicon world's central processing core, which they had proudly called the most advanced computer network in the galaxy, simply stopped working. Engineer Thomas watched the reports from Earth's new monitoring station. He had spent 15 years maintaining that system, quietly fixing problems the Silicon beings never noticed. Now he watched as they tried desperately to understand their own creation. Another failure alert, the station AI reported. Medical processing in the outer rim has dropped to 30% capacity. Thomas nodded, making a note in his log. Right on schedule. They removed the human-designed backup systems last week. Across the galaxy, the cracks were spreading. Ships using the automated navigation systems that had replaced human pilots found themselves taking longer routes, burning more fuel, missing delivery deadlines. The aliens had never realized that human navigators hadn't just followed the computer's course, they had constantly improved it. In the council chamber, the mood had shifted from irritation to concern. Council leader Marcus stood at his podium, his scales now a pale, sickly blue. The situation is becoming untenable, he admitted to the gathered representatives. 17 major systems have reported critical failures in the past week alone. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the chamber, showing a map of affected areas. Red dots covered nearly a third of known space. The humans, the Energy World representative flickered angrily. They sabotaged us before leaving. Marcus shook his head. No. Investigation shows no signs of sabotage. The systems are failing because... He paused, as if the words pained him, because they were designed to work with human operators. We never understood how much we had come to rely on their adaptability. In a research facility on the medical world of Healing Prime, alien doctors stared at their screens in confusion. The advanced diagnostic systems, which they had proudly claimed could replace human medical intuition, were making increasingly bizarre recommendations. We need the human doctors back, one finally admitted. They didn't just follow the system's guidance. They knew when to override it. They could spot patterns we never saw. Back on Earth, Thomas received a priority alert. The Silicon Worlds had sent an emergency message. Please, the mechanical being's transmission crackled with static. Our systems are failing. We cannot maintain quantum stability without the human adjustments we never knew were happening. Thomas played the message for Dr. Emma Thompson, the scientist who had predicted this crisis years ago. She sat in her office, surrounded by data streams showing the escalating chaos. They're finally starting to understand, she said, watching new failure reports stream in. Humans weren't just maintaining their systems. We were constantly innovating, improving, finding ways to make things work better. Every human worker they dismissed as primitive was actually part of a vast network of problem solvers. The reports kept coming. Space stations were running out of supplies because the perfect automated logistics systems couldn't adapt to changing conditions like human managers had. Entertainment venues were losing customers because their advanced artificial performances lacked the spark of human creativity they had taken for granted. Should we respond to any of these distress calls? Thomas asked, watching another red dot appear on the map. Emma shook her head. Not yet. The Council still thinks these are isolated incidents. They haven't realized that every system they've built in the last century was subtly shaped by human influence. When they understand that, when they truly see how their superior civilization was actually a partnership they never acknowledged, then we can talk. In the darkness of space, more systems began to fail. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. They hadn't just pushed away a primitive species, they had removed a keystone they never knew was holding everything together. 1 month after humanity's departure, the galaxy faced its first pandemic in 3 centuries. A simple virus, easily treatable under normal circumstances, began spreading through the outer rim worlds. The Galactic Medical Network, recently improved by removing human redundancies, failed to contain it. Dr. Emma Thompson watched the crisis unfold from Earth's Medical Command Center. Holographic displays showed the virus's spread in angry red lines across star charts. They've lost control of the quarantine systems, she noted, her voice heavy. Without human medical staff making judgment calls, the automated systems are following protocols that don't fit the situation. The emergency council session that followed was unlike any in galactic history. Gone was the usual pomp and ceremony. Council leader Marcus, his scales now almost white with stress, faced a chamber filled with panic. The death toll has reached 10,000, he reported, his voice shaking. The medical network's automated responses are inadequate. We need He swallowed hard. We need the human doctors back. But that wasn't the worst of their problems. A representative from the trading world stood up, his tentacles twisted in distress. The shipping lanes are in chaos. Without human navigators, we've lost 30% of our fleet to miscalculated jumps. The automated systems can't adapt to space storms like the humans could. On Earth, Trademaster Robert reviewed the latest reports with growing concern. Even he hadn't expected things to fall apart this quickly. "Show me the economic impact," he commanded his eye. The display shifted, showing market crashes across dozens of worlds. Entire economies were collapsing as trade routes failed and vital supplies couldn't reach their destinations. The aliens' proud prediction algorithms, which they had claimed were superior to human market intuition, were failing to cope with the chaos. In the depths of the Silicon World's archives, a startling discovery was made. A junior researcher, desperately searching for solutions, found records dating back centuries. Humans, the researcher reported to the council, have been preventing wars for the past 200 years. Their diplomatic corps didn't just handle official negotiations. They were quietly resolving conflicts before they could escalate. 3 major species were about to declare war last year, but human mediators prevented it. We never even knew. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Marcus stared at the evidence in disbelief. Humans, whom they had dismissed as emotionally primitive, had been maintaining peace through careful, subtle diplomacy all along. Dr. Emma Thompson received the next crisis alert in her office. "The terraforming systems on New Eden are failing," her AI reported. "Without human oversight, the atmospheric processors are creating unstable conditions. They need immediate assistance or the colony will have to be evacuated." She shared the report with Ambassador Walker, who had returned to Earth weeks ago. "They still don't understand," she said. "Every system they thought was purely automated actually relied on human judgment. Our people weren't just following maintenance protocols. They were constantly innovating, adapting, improving." Walker nodded, watching more red alerts appear on the global display. They thought their technology was perfect, that human intuition was a weakness. They never realized that our primitive emotional intelligence was what kept their perfect systems working. In the council chamber, the final blow came when the energy worlds reported their power grid was destabilizing. The quantum reactors that powered much of galactic civilization required subtle adjustments that only humans had been able to provide. "We have no choice," Marcus finally admitted to the silent chamber. "We need humanity back. Not as servants, not as primitive assistants, but as equals. We were wrong. Their way of thinking, their intuition, their creativity. We didn't understand how essential these things were." But as emergency messages were sent toward Earth, many wondered if it was too late. The humans had offered their help for centuries, only to be mocked and dismissed. Would they be willing to return now that the galaxy finally recognized their true value? The first delegation arrived at Earth's orbit 6 weeks after humanity's withdrawal. Their ship, once a proud example of alien engineering, limped through space on failing engines. Without human maintenance crews, even their most advanced vessels were beginning to break down. Ambassador Walker watched their approach from Earth's new Defense Command Center. The room hummed with quiet activity as operators monitored the galaxy's continuing collapse. "They're requesting immediate landing clearance," reported an officer. "Their life support systems are failing." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Send them the automated response." The aliens received a polite message. "Thank you for contacting Earth. All diplomatic requests are currently being processed. Estimated response time: 2 to 4 weeks. In the council chamber, now operating on emergency power, Marcus received the news with dismay. "They're treating us the same way we treated them," he realized, his scales turning a deep blue of shame. "How many times did we make them wait while their people suffered?" The energy world's representative flickered weakly. Their power crisis was getting worse. "We've sent them our highest-level emergency codes. Surely they'll respond to those." "They have responded," Marcus said quietly. with exactly the same automated messages we used to send them. On Earth, Dr. Emma Thompson reviewed the latest data with Trade Master Robert. The screen showed the cascading collapse of galactic civilization, not through any human action, but simply through their absence. Another trade hub has gone dark, Robert noted. The automated systems can't handle the complexity without human oversight. Emma nodded. And look at this, they finally discovered our prediction models. She pulled up an old file. 20 years ago, we calculated exactly how their systems would fail without human input. We tried to warn them, but they dismissed it as primitive analysis. The next delegation arrived with more urgency. This time, it was the Silicon Worlds, their mechanical representatives literally falling apart without proper maintenance. Please, their message begged. We offer unconditional access to all our technology. Full integration rights. Anything you want. Walker shared this message with the Earth Council. The human leaders, now operating from a position of strength they had always possessed, but never flaunted, considered their response. Show them, ordered the council chief. Walker pressed a button, and Earth's shields dropped momentarily. The alien sensors detected what humanity had hidden for decades. Vast networks of advanced technology, seamlessly blending mechanical precision with human intuition. While they had mocked Earth as primitive, humanity had been quietly building something far more sophisticated than the aliens' rigid systems. We never needed their technology, Walker explained to the stunned alien representatives. We needed them to understand that true advancement comes from combining different ways of thinking. Your logic, our emotion. Your precision, our adaptability. In their desperation, the aliens finally began discovering the truth. Archaeological teams found evidence of human influence stretching back centuries. Every major technological breakthrough had come after human primitive suggestions were implemented. Every stable system had human innovation at its core. We were blind, Marcus admitted in an emergency broadcast to the galaxy. We thought ourselves superior, but we had become dependent on human creativity and problem-solving without even realizing it. On Earth, Walker prepared for his return to the Council. But this time, he wasn't going as a supplicant. The terms in his briefcase would reshape galactic civilization, not through human dominance, but through true partnership. Send them our response, he instructed. Across the galaxy, alien leaders received Earth's message. We are willing to return, not as your servants, but as your equals. The galaxy needs both logic and intuition, both precision and creativity. Are you ready to build something better together? The fate of galactic civilization now hung on their answer. The emergency council session was held in darkness. Power failures had spread to even the council's central systems, and the once grand chamber was lit only by emergency lights. Representatives from 30 species sat in the gloom, their fate resting on the decision they would make today. Ambassador Walker stood before them, his posture relaxed but confident. The datapad in his hands contained humanity's terms that would reshape the galaxy. Your civilization stands on the brink of collapse, he began, his voice carrying through the quiet chamber. In the past 2 months, you have lost 60% of your shipping capacity. 8 major colonies face evacuation due to failing life support. The medical network is operating at 20% efficiency. Council leader Marcus, his scales now a permanent pale blue, nodded slowly. We acknowledge this. What are humanity's demands? Walker smiled. Not demands. Proposals. We don't wish to rule or dominate. We want what we've always wanted. True partnership. He activated his datapad, and holographic displays flickered to life around the chamber. They showed new designs, innovations that merged alien logic with human intuition. While we were away, we didn't sit idle, Walker explained. We've developed new systems that combine your computational precision with our adaptability. But they only work through true cooperation. The Energy World's representative, barely visible now due to power shortages, spoke up. You had this technology all along. We had the ideas, Walker corrected. but they require both human creativity and alien precision to function. Neither species can operate them alone. That's the point. In orbit above Earth, Dr. Emma Thompson and Trade Master Robert watched the proceedings through a secure feed. Around them, screens showed the continuing collapse of galactic systems. "Another medical center has gone dark," Robert reported. "The pandemic has spread to 3 more worlds." Emma nodded grimly. "They have about 12 hours to decide before the damage becomes irreversible. The question is, has their pride finally broken enough to accept true partnership?" Back in the council chamber, Walker displayed the final set of terms. Equal representation on all councils, joint operation of all major systems, shared development of new technologies, and most importantly, mutual respect for different ways of thinking. Marcus stood, his voice shaking. "You could have destroyed us, could have let our civilization collapse and taken control. Why offer partnership instead?" Walker's response was firm. "Because that's not who we are. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help build something better than either of us could create alone." He gestured at the failing systems around them. "Your logic and precision gave birth to amazing technologies. Our emotion and intuition kept those technologies running smoothly. Apart, we're both incomplete. Together, we could achieve things neither of us can imagine." The chamber erupted in discussion. Species that had once looked down on humanity now faced a choice: accept their own limitations and embrace true partnership, or watch their civilization crumble. On Earth, the human leadership waited. They had prepared for this moment for decades, building systems that would require genuine cooperation to function. "The Security Council is deadlocked," reported an aide. 4 species still oppose accepting human terms. Walker addressed the chamber one final time. "You have 6 hours to decide. After that, the damage to your infrastructure will be beyond even our combined ability to repair." He turned to leave. "Choose wisely." As he walked out, the chamber burst into frantic debate. The fate of galactic civilization hung in the balance, not because of human threats or demands, but because of a simple truth: the galaxy needed both human and alien qualities to function. The clock was ticking. The galaxy's future rested on whether its most advanced species could finally admit they weren't as superior as they thought. 6 months after the Council's decision to accept humanity's terms, the Galactic Center sparkled with new life. The rebuilt Council chamber now featured a perfect blend of alien precision and human creativity. Crystal structures flowing in patterns that seemed both mathematical and artistic. Ambassador Walker stood at the new circular podium, surrounded by representatives from all species, including humans. No one sat above or below others now. The chamber's design itself reflected the new reality. All species working as true equals. The medical network is now operating at 115% of its previous peak efficiency, he reported, displaying the latest figures. The combination of alien processing power and human intuition has improved outcomes beyond our original projections. Council leader Marcus, his scales now a healthy blue again, nodded in agreement. The pandemic is contained, and the new joint medical teams have developed treatments that neither of our species could have created alone. In the space lanes, ships moved with newfound efficiency. Human navigators worked alongside alien AI systems, each complementing the other's strengths. Trade was flowing faster than ever, but with fewer accidents than anyone had thought possible. Dr. Emma Thompson watched from her new office in the Joint Research Center. The facility buzzed with activity as human and alien scientists worked side by side, sharing insights and challenging each other's assumptions. "Show me the latest innovation reports," she requested. The holographic display lit up with dozens of breakthrough announcements. Humans and aliens working together had solved problems that had stumped both species for centuries. The Silicon world's computers now ran on hybrid systems that combined quantum processing with human-style adaptive algorithms, achieving performance levels that seemed impossible just months ago. Another colony world restored. Trademaster Robert reported from his station. The new joint teams are repairing the damage faster than we estimated. The changes weren't just technological. In education centers across the galaxy, young aliens and humans studied together, learning to value each other's perspectives. What had once been dismissed as human emotional thinking was now recognized as a vital complement to alien logic. The energy worlds report their power grid is now operating at peak efficiency, and Aid announced. The human-alien engineering teams have eliminated all instabilities. Walker smiled as he remembered the desperate council session 6 months ago. The aliens had made their choice just in time, swallowing their pride and accepting humanity's terms with less than an hour to spare. What followed was nothing short of a renaissance. In the chamber's central display, a new starship took shape, the first vessel designed and built through true cooperation between species. Its systems merged the best of both worlds: alien precision and human adaptability, logical efficiency, and intuitive problem-solving. "We were both wrong and both right," Marcus addressed the chamber. "We thought our logic made us superior. Humans thought they had to hide their true capabilities. Now we understand. True advancement comes from combining our strengths." The new galactic charter was displayed above them, its first line shining bright. Progress comes not from uniformity, but from diversity of thought. No way of thinking is superior. All contribute to the whole. Outside the chamber, the galaxy was transforming. Space stations hummed with efficiency as human and alien crews worked in perfect sync. Research centers buzzed with breakthrough after breakthrough as different species combined their insights. Trade routes flowed smoothly as hybrid navigation systems guided ships safely through space. "We've achieved more in 6 months of true cooperation than in centuries of supposed superiority," Walker noted to the assembly. "Imagine what we'll achieve in the years to come." As he looked out at the chamber, seeing humans and aliens working together as true equals, he remembered the day humanity had walked away. It had been a gamble, but one that had paid off beyond their wildest dreams. They hadn't just fixed a broken system. They had built something entirely new and better. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The future belonged not to any one species or way of thinking, but to all of them, working together in true partnership.